interests. You can see it on here on our panel, which are combined, and it's not really easy to manage them. And perhaps shortly I will present the panel in order of appearance. There is, and I'm very grateful that he's here, there is Mihai JURCA. He is head of the Prime Minister's Chancellery, Special Envoy for the Reconstruction of Ukraine in Romania. He is here. Mihai, thank you for being here. We have with us as well Mr. Ionel, SCRIOFTTEANU, State Secretary in the Ministry of Transportation of Romania. Mr. SCRIOFTTEANU, thank you. Then we have from Ukraine Mr. Igor BURAKOVSKY, Head of Board of the Institute of Economic Research and Policy Consulting. We have Mr. Cristian Erbașu, CEO of Construcții, Erbașu, Romania, one of the biggest construction companies. Thank you for being here too. And there is Sebastian METZ, CEO of the AHK, the German Chamber of Commerce in Romania. Mr. METZ, happy to have you here. We would start, and I would like to ask Mihai JURCA, the first person, to give a personal perspective. Mihai JURCA is in charge with everything that has to do with the reconstruction of Ukraine from the position of Romania. So please, Mihai, give us perhaps a perspective what the number of balls you have to juggle with in your office. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and yes, there are a number of challenges that we have and that we face, but regardless, we need to deliver on all of them. So the reconstruction of Ukraine is a critical topic for us, and it's something that I hope by the end of the month we'll have a clear plan. We've been having discussions with the industry, we've been having discussions with other public institutions, so we set out an action plan so that we can support the Ukrainian reconstruction, but also be involved in that. So it will be something that we do by the end of May, and it is something that lays down very simple principles. We've said it numerous times, we are facilitators, and we need to create the right context for companies to develop and for people to develop businesses. And the reconstruction of Ukraine is not a different topic. One of our key roles is to create the context, the infrastructure, so that we take advantage of the proximity, the big border that we have with Ukraine, and be a real support mechanism and an entry point for the reconstruction phase. We are doing it as we speak, and we've supported Ukraine and will continue to support Ukraine. And when it comes to what we can do, we need to ensure that Romanian companies, international companies and institutions have the right infrastructure to contribute to the Ukrainian reconstruction. So we need access ways, we need a redefined border control system and infrastructure so that we have safe passage of goods, of materials, and a control on potential illicit traffic over the border. So these are key elemental things that we need to deliver on our side so that we can talk about the reconstruction phase and our involvement into that. We need to also be an active player, and this is something that we will set out with the cooperation of the industry and our partners in the Ukrainian government, to support companies and to be a platform that will tell people how they can operate in that environment. We've done a survey, quick survey with some of the big companies, and there is not too much knowledge on how you operate there. So that's another critical area we need to deliver on, and we will. And the last part is also creating an environment in Romania that would support that. So if we look at the northwest, northeast, southeast areas of the country, there will be a major hubs for supply mechanism and supply chains. So we need to create the infrastructure there, not only for the support of the reconstruction phase, but also to develop the areas. And these are commitments that we can do, and this is something that will give the private community the right context to develop both the Romanian regions, but also to develop the Ukrainian ones.
Thank you very much, Mihai JURCA. We have been talking already about infrastructure, and there is at least the element of bringing support from outside to Ukraine. So this has to do with transport as well. So I would ask Mr. Ionel SCRIOFTTEANU, State Secretary of the Ministry of Transportation, for his perspective. What is there to do? What do we have to prepare at this moment?
First of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in this panel. Romania can and must become the main logistics hub in the reconstruction of Ukraine. Romania's geographical position is ideal for this purpose. Although over the years Russia has tried to restrict the freedom of countries such as Moldova or Ukraine through very few incentives, and rather to prevent the trade flows in Moldova and Ukraine towards the European Union. But Romania has been the main supporter of the transport flows throughout the war period. Every investment that we make, it's like a heart surgery. The traffic flows have to continue, but the modernization of infrastructure has to take into account this increasing traffic flows. And the creations of new traffic and transport capabilities is made in real time. From the first day of war, Romania has been investing significantly in all the transport areas, the Constanța port, the railway transport to and from Constanța port, the border crossing point, both maritime and road crossing points. And the infrastructure advances at quite a good pace towards Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova. The Union and the Moldova motorways are the two motorways that through the road hub in Pașcani create connection opportunities between the railroad system and the road system. And they also make the transportation easier. As of now, we have two batches of motorway under public procedure, public tender through SAFE, and it is for the first time that we cross the border into Ukraine for a first investment that can be deemed as part of the investment into the transport sector. This is already part of the reconstruction of Ukraine. For this portion, the procedure was completed, the tender procedure was completed, and the winner of the procedure was communicated. We are in the process of challenging the procedure, and we hope that by the end of May, all the 9 batches will be awarded to the winners of the public tender for these construction works. But in parallel, we are having discussions with the local authorities for the purpose of developing logistical and industrial areas in the proximity of this infrastructure. In this way, this railroad and road transportation infrastructure becomes an area of economic connection between Ukraine, Moldova and Romania, which makes it easier for the companies to interact with one another, and it makes it easier to develop partnerships that can then support the reconstruction of Ukraine.
Thank you very much for this point. I see there is also affected the part of critical infrastructure with all the ways to connect and to get Ukraine attached to the rest of Europe. I would like to hear now the perspective of Mr. Burakovsky, head of Board Institute of Economic Research and Policy Consulting in Ukraine. What does Ukraine think about reconstruction at this moment, and what is important?
Thanks a lot for the invitation, and thanks a lot for an opportunity to talk about very, I would like to say, long-term and very difficult topic, take into account that right now actually we are all preoccupied by the questions and by the problems of security, so this is number one for us. But in any case, actually, let's talk about, well, short-term, medium and long-term perspective. First of all, I would like to say that here in Ukraine right now, actually, we have a number of plans, strategic documents, etc., identifying the major priorities, the priority sectors for recovery. Right now we are talking about recovery in two senses. Immediate recovery in order to support actually the current resilience of Ukrainian economy, and the other one is, so to speak, full-fledged recovery. When we are talking about the sectors, definitely sector number one is energy, because without energy actually it's really difficult to talk about normal resilience of the economy, and you probably know actually we lost a lot of generating facilities. This winter turned out to be extremely difficult one. So that's actually we need recovery in this particular field. Right now actually we are doing only current maintenance in order to support actually these energy generating facilities, and of course actually that's the problem and that's the challenge. That's the challenge not only to replace something which was destroyed, but also to think about decentralized schemes of energy supplies, and here actually the experience of other countries will be of extreme importance for us. And of course actually it's not only about generation as such, but it's about actually, well, the shelters for the generators, take into account that actually we don't know how long, well, we have to have in mind actually the necessity to defend ourselves from Russian attacks. Sector number one is agriculture. When it comes to agriculture, well, Ukraine is a big agricultural producer. In some cases it creates some problems for our neighbors, let's be frank in a way. But when we are talking about agriculture, that's of course about fertilizers, and that's about supplies, and that's about techniques, technologies different, and of course actually it's about, well, demining. Because right now actually a substantial part of Ukrainian agricultural lands needs demining, also to speak purification from all this, well, contamination due to births, due to shells, and all this kind of this stuff. Another thing is definitely, well, defense and dual aim technologies. Well, right now actually Ukrainian producers of drones and some other weaponry, actually they actively trying to penetrate to outside market, and who knows, maybe here we could talk not only about industry as such, but we could talk also, well, about sort of common military industrial projects in different ways. But this topic requires a special discussion. Of course it's reconstruction. And of course actually when we are talking about, well, we are quite interested in the projects, necessary actually, to deal with the problem of waste. Construction waste, waste due to bombing, all type of the waste is something which is a real problem for Ukraine. This is a kind of, well, let's call it, well, technical dimension. And of course, this technical dimension has its own sub-dimensions, sub-dimensions. My second point is that actually in Ukraine we do understand that we cannot get all the necessary financing from official sources, and actually, well, there is a kind of consensus in the countries that we need to continue reforms. And when we're talking about reforms, especially what is important for the businesses, that's according to our business opinion survey, what we are doing in our institute. Well, we need actually to tackle three problems. Problem number one is, of course, taxation and everything which deals with the tax administration. This is a problem for Ukraine, to be frank. Another one is the activities of Ukrainian customs. Well, these customs should be integrated in, so to speak, all European system of customs, and definitely, well, all these custom formalities need to be done within the European, let's put it in such a way, European framework. And actually, one more point, well, that's also, well, about the ways how, for example, different type of permits, authorizations, etc., are issued, taking into account that actually, well, the system needs to be reformed. And my third point is that actually definitely when coming to Ukraine, well, you should take into account that right now more and more Ukrainian local governments are involved in the process of recovery. And when doing actually business in Ukraine, well, definitely there are two, frankly speaking, problems which are to be taken seriously. Sorry for being unpatriotic in this way. Problem number one, unfortunately, actually, well, there is a number of military risks. So this way war insurance and war-related risk insurance, it's a topic for discussion and should be taken quite seriously. Another problem is that at the moment, actually, there is a lot of proposals what should be done in the first rate, in the second rate, etc., but, well, we need together actually to find more and to prepare more bankable projects, because we do understand that actually recovery, it's about business, it's about actually private interests, which should be channeled in the right way, and this is something we need to solve together.
Thank you very much. This is a very good point for the discussion we will have afterwards, how to get together, how to achieve this. We're talking about, or we already have heard something about the framework we need. So this is the moment for Mr. Cristian Erbașu from Construcții, Erbașu, Romania. What is needed, where are the challenges and the opportunities? It already works.
Yes, thank you very much for the invitation. And I think our position now regarding Ukraine could create a good opportunity for us as a country, but also for some companies, not only construction company, but also companies from industry, energy companies, or other domains. It's clear that we have to consider, first of all, that also in Ukraine there are very good companies. Maybe they suffer a lot, some in the last years, but we have to consider some of them came in Romania to continue their activities during this war. So there were created some relations between Romanian and Ukrainian companies. It's clear that there will be many things to be done after the war, not only regarding the reconstruction, of course also to develop Ukraine at the level of European level, because and this is a road that was done by Romania in the last year, especially in the last 10 years. We developed a lot, and especially in infrastructure, all kinds of infrastructure, road infrastructure, railway infrastructure, sanitary, education infrastructure. I'm sure that also in these areas in Ukraine will be much more things to be done. First of all, because it's after the war, but also because Ukraine it's a bigger country with large area, and they have to in a short time, few years, to recover a lot. So all energies that are in Europe, and not only, will try to come and on one way to help Ukraine, but on the other way to find opportunities for them. On the other side, we have to consider that Romanian companies, especially companies with Romanian capital, developed in the last years. They learned to act in Romanian conditions. There are not many companies from Romania able to go to act out of Romania over the board, so it's difficult for them to adapt in other conditions. I'm sure that after the war, in Ukraine will be developed a new country. Many things that were before the war will not be valid after that. It's clear that Ukraine will be a new country and will develop a new spirit in the future. Many things that will do, many steps that will do, Ukraine we did in the last 20 years in Romania after Romania became member of NATO and member of EU. So in this case, I'm sure our companies will recognize a lot of steps and a lot of ideas that were in Romania. But I'm sure also in the other side that will be other things, also new things that we didn't find in Romania. So in this case, it's clear that Romanian companies will have two things to be happen. First of all, the help of the state, of the Romanian state, for the Romanian companies has to be done, because together we can act out of Romania and to find solutions for these opportunities. The other one thing is Romanian companies have to find partners in EU or in other countries, in United States, to act together in Ukraine, because it will not be so easy for them to act on that level. First of all, from financial point of view, it's clear that the contract that will be there and the projects that will be in Ukraine will be huge, even bigger than the projects that have been in Romania. Even many projects from Romania that are in this moment, in this period, are too big for Romanian companies. Many Romanian companies make joint ventures to act together in this project, and even this situation is very difficult. On the other side, Romania will be a gate for other countries, for Turkey, from Greece, from EU countries, and I'm sure that these companies are already here in Romania, and they act in the Romanian projects, thinking to the future projects in Ukraine. In this moment, they prepare for these projects. Maybe some of them will be in cooperation with Romanian companies, because in these years they develop cooperations and they make together projects in Romania, and will extend this cooperation in projects, in Ukrainian projects. I hope that Romanian companies, even if they have a lot to work, they still have a lot to work in Romania. They will have eyes to go to see to Ukraine, because we know next year, at least next 5 years, even more, there are many projects in Romania. But if we focus only to these projects, and in Ukraine we start the projects, we will lose the train. Like we said, we will lose the train, and after 5 years, 10 years, will be too late to go there. So I'm sure that at least the biggest companies from Romania that act in Romania have in this moment in their mind to develop a common area with Ukraine, because we don't have to think these projects isolated in Ukraine or in Romania. I'm sure that here will be created lot of common economical organizations. So if the state, the banks, Also, if there will be some supports for these Romanian companies, I'm sure this will be valid and this will succeed to go there to act together with other companies from other countries.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for leading over to cooperation with other countries. And there is the Chamber of Commerce of Germany, Germany being one of the big players from the European countries with, I think, more than 1,000 companies engaged here in Romania. So, Sebastian Metz, what's your perspective on reconstructing Ukraine and challenges and chances?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question, and thanks to George for inviting me, for having here on the panel. Let me outline two ideas. First of all, of course, it's a huge interest of the German economy in this project of rebuilding the Ukraine once the war has been over. Although there are ongoing and increasing investments of German companies already right now in the Ukraine. So why is it important? German companies are interested to be active in, of course, in the industrial and the manufacturing area in the Ukraine, in the energy, logistics, construction materials, and also, of course, the food industry, food processing industry. What is the benefit for all of us, for Germany, for Romania, for the European Union, and of course for the Ukraine? There are two important things which needs to be addressed on the European level urgently. It's increasing competitiveness and increasing resilience of the supply chain. And Ukraine can really play a very important factor in this regard. So increasing the competitiveness in terms of competitive labor costs, but also in terms of increasing the pool of qualified workforce, etc. So there is, it would be really beneficial for all of us if the Ukraine will be rebuilt and the European economies, the German one, the Romanian one, will be engaged over there. Also, the topic of resilience, we have talked intensively this morning about it. So from our perspective, we see an increasing local development in the European economy landscape, meaning we see more regional economic poles, and the topic of producing in Europe in order to decrease the risk, in order to increase the resilience, it's coming more and more important. And also, of course, Ukraine can play an important contribution. Let's focus the second part of my introduction on what can we build up here in Romania. It's true, Germany is by far the biggest and most important economic partner for Romania. We are talking about more than 10,000 active German companies with more than 250,000 employees, an invested capital of 18 billion euros and a trade volume between Germany and Romania of 43 billion euros. The German footprint in Romania is visible, is impactful, but it's also based on trust and win-win situation. And of course, when we lead the German-Romanian business community also into this project of building up the Ukraine. Romania, Germany and the Ukraine will benefit from, because we can really integrate all the three countries in resilient and beneficial supply chains and value chains. So this is actually what we are interested in when it comes to the rebuild Ukraine topic. We really want to bring in our bilateral business community into this project and to build up resilient supply chain. One last sentence regarding this topic. Of course, we are not the only one. I see huge interest also from Poland in rebuilding in the project of Rebuild Ukraine. And I must, I mean, I'm here since 14 years in Romania, so my heart is definitely beating for Romania. But we have to speed up, not only in terms of speed, but in terms of visibility and activities on this topic here in Romania. So we need to be a little bit more ready, prepared when it comes to this topic. I see this a little bit, in my perspective, a little bit not discussed enough and not prepared enough. And one big advantage that Romania has is that in this vision, in this plan, also the Republic of Moldova can be integrated. It's a country which is very close to Romania, and also their advantages, the bilingual community which is living over there. This can be really an advantage for Romania, and which should be part of the plan, actually. Thank you.
Thank you very much, especially for this view to Moldova too, because really it's an important point as seeing the free world as a uniting point. We know all there's this sentence of divide and conquer, and we know as well that there's some kind of competition between everybody to get a chunk of this cake. My next question to all of you is, how do you see the role of European Union at this moment? Because if this is such a huge project, and it will be many billions of euros which have to flow into Ukraine in some way, so we need coordination, cooperation and strategy. Is there already a European strategy, and can you feel it in your lines of work? Perhaps starting with Mihai again, Mihai JURCA. And we'll have a next, beg your pardon, for Mr. Burakowski, because Ukraine already has started to rebuild in some places. So where are your lessons learned? This would be the next point. Mihai, please.
The assessment of the support is about, if I recall correctly, from the World Bank rapid assessment, damage assessment study, 580 billion. And it's definitely something that cannot be supported just with public support. So it's a private endeavor also. But the European Union has, I think, definitely played an important role deciding and awarding the loan for Ukraine, and it will be a pivotal player in the process, also because there is the joint effort for the Ukrainian EU accession. So I am definitely sure that the European Union will be, is a part and has a plan. What we can take from the European perspective and adapt into the, let's say, national strategy or national action plan. I think that the very important part is working both with Ukraine and Moldova. You well mentioned and Sebastian well mentioned Moldova, because we've started doing that with the safe financing for the dual infrastructure. We're supporting both Moldova and Ukraine, and the reconstruction phase also will need Moldova's support. So we have a recent memory of going through a development process in the last 20 years. It's still a fresh memory to us. So finding solutions with Ukraine, I think, is one of the most important things that we should look at. And if we talk about private partnerships, definitely going through this experience on our own, working with Ukrainian companies, working with Ukrainian authorities to figure out which is the most effective way is also a USP for our national approach.
Thank you very much. So I would pass on the question to Mr. Erbașu, how you see this point of, would you need some more cooperation? And as we hear, it's important to join the forces of the private sector, even of private investment and of public investment. Is there something you would see that European Union could do better or more, or are you happy with everything that's happening?
Anyway, European Union made many good practice in Romania, so if we apply the same things and we try to develop them, if we think about Ukraine, it would be very well. So I think, in fact, Ukraine, we have to think that before the war, Ukrainian people, work a lot in Poland, Germany, so they know very well what rules there are in EU. And if you remember, also Ukrainian economy was not so low. They had some parts of the industry that supported a lot our economy, our industry, and German industry also. I remember that it was a strong crisis regarding the iron, the iron structures, because a lot of things were brought from Ukraine. Now will be maybe many things will be remade, but in at other standards. I'm sure that in this moment when and I'm sure where already started the reconstruction of Ukraine started in other way, with other rules, with other standards, and I'm sure as soon as possible Ukraine will be as much as possible on a higher level, the level of EU, because EU will invest in Ukraine, but will invest like in Romania, like in other countries that came in EU in the last 20 years, but EU asked to develop with some standards from transparency point of view, from respecting some rules regarding energy, regarding Green Deal, regarding resilience. So these rules will impose different way of acting. You know very well that there were a lot of discussions regarding agriculture products, that there are big differences standards, and it's not the same. Of course, the prices are much lower in Ukraine because the standards are not the same. I'm sure that Ukraine in the future will respect these rules, and in this case will be much easier between EU countries and Ukraine to be developed common projects.
Thank you very much, Mr. SCRIOTTEANU. Talking about standards, which is a big topic of European Union, and I will try to make you two answer, Mr. METZ and Mr. SCRIOTTEANU, because we Germans are the masters of standards, and we are the masters of standards which make us fall on the pavement because they are too high, so it's no way to jump over the threshold. What would be the learning for standards in a good European manner for reconstructing Ukraine and to accelerate things? Because there is a dilemma. If you want to do it right in sustainability, it takes time and it's costly. If you have too much documentation in order to avoid corruption, so as well it goes slower. So what are your recommendations, learnings up to the moment?
You were speaking earlier about the fact that about the role of Europe in the reconstruction of Ukraine and what this role should be. It is obvious that Europe's role in the reconstruction of Ukraine is an extremely important one. For the past years in Romania, if we didn't have the European funds, it would have been very difficult for us to develop our transport infrastructure using our own funds, even with public-private partnership funds. Well, the reconstruction of Ukraine is, we may say, a team's sport. Both the states and the companies, the private sector and the public sector, and companies from various countries, including Ukraine, Romania, they all have to make a team effort. It is very important for the reconstruction of Ukraine to be carried out both in an effective manner and fast, in order to generate effects in a short period of time, effects that are visible in the lives of citizens of Ukraine. And it is only by this team effort that we can achieve good results at low costs when it comes to the reconstruction of Ukraine. Europe has already set out the new European lanes, European corridors, together with the Republic of Moldova and Ukraine. This is a connection that will be particularly important. The connection between the city of Suceava in Romania, then all the way up to Siret, Cernăuți, Lvov, and then all the way to Poland, with a railroad and road infrastructure that will bypass the Carpathian Mountains and will set a direct connection between Romania, Moldova, and the Central Europe through Poland. There is another important lane connecting the cities of Iași, Chișinău, and the port of Odessa. These two lanes, or two corridors, will secure a very good interconnection with the European transport infrastructure. We have recently received from the Ukrainian authorities a pre-feasibility study carried out by the government of Japan through the company that previously designed the bridge at Brăila, the Danube Bridge at Brăila, Isacea. This project would help us establish a connection between the port of Constanța in Romania and the port of Odessa in Ukraine, and to set up a hub in between the two ports. 2 weeks from now, I'm going to make a first visit to the Giurgiulești port in the Republic of Moldova. In order to, the aim is to strengthen this cluster of Danube ports in relation to the port of Constanța, the Black Sea. And this will enable us to provide support for the flow of goods and to secure lower costs. The decrease of cost will be by 20% in terms of cost for import and exports at the level of the Republic of Moldova.
Your first question was regarding what are the benefits of the European Union to the whole reconstruction of the Ukraine. Where I mean, first of all, of course, it's financing. Yeah. The Ukraine and will not have the same means of financing the projects. So this is 100% sure. Also, I think that businesses they need some actually will need definitely a kind of guarantee program in order to invest in this country, because we do not know how this conflict will end, but definitely some companies still require some guarantees for the investment in the Ukraine. So that's a crucial role for the European Union. And another area where I see really big need is the rule of law in the Ukraine. Yeah, so we need also a continuous reform agenda of the Ukrainian government in order to be an attractive investment location, and this is something that definitely the European Union must assure, and these are two crucial things for the business framework. Second question from you was regarding the standards. Yes, Germany is a kind of hidden champion in putting standards. We can discuss for several hours if this makes sense or not. But
we're not hidden champion, we are champion.
Yeah, we are champion. But generally speaking, in every standard there is a lot of knowledge. It's a knowledge pool. I think the Western countries, the European countries, Romania, Germany, they can really bring this knowledge to the Ukraine in order to rebuild the Ukraine as fast as possible, matching with the European standards. So I think it's a positive thing. Of course it comes with hurdles, it comes with administrative burden, it comes with investment in building up the process for standards, but after all, standards assure definitely a competitiveness of a company, of an economy, so it is important actually to meet the standards.
Thank you very much. So it's a positive view on our standards, and there's where we are not only hidden champions, but champions. So lessons learned in Ukraine at this moment, and even as well on Ukraine's way, hopefully, into European Union and fulfilling standards. How would you see the situation, Mr. Burakowski?
It's a topic for another big discussion.
Yeah.
Well, I would like actually just to exploit my personal knowledge, and at the institute I'm working for, we have a kind of monitoring project. We are looking how at local level this immediate recovery takes place. We are talking mostly about use of public money at the local level, and actually these are not very, so to speak, big projects, small bridges, small schools, etc., etc., etc. So that's why my personal opinion is rather limited. But in any case, I actually would like to draw attention to a couple of points. First of all, definitely when we're talking about infrastructure, all this kind of stuff, you need to cooperate with the local governments. For the local governments, we see two problems from my point of view. First of all, this is a lack of technological engineering expertise, and of course it could create some, so to speak, misunderstanding between the client and the patron. Let's put it in such a way, and from the other side, they definitely actually need a kind of better understanding how to use this object, how actually to keep it going after the construction. And this post-construction service is very important. This is point number one. Point number two, not many of Ukrainian local governments are ready to use this instrument which is called public-private partnership. And from my point of view, that's something which is very promising in terms of Ukraine and actually taking into account Ukrainian situation. And actually two more points. Of course, actually, if you're going about to construct something, definitely in some cases you'll have lack of qualified workforce for obvious reasons, because in a number of cases, the people are either mobilized or actually left the country. That's something we should be taking serious. And again, actually, we need to understand that Ukraine is not a kind of, so to speak, homogeneous country. We have western part of Ukraine, which is less affected by the attacks. We have the central part of Ukraine, which is more affected in a way, and of course we have, so to speak, frontline territories or adjacent to these frontline territories, and in every territory, they have their specifics and possibilities, objectives, so to speak, limitations in terms of doing business and in terms of recovery.
Thank you very much. I know we have very little time, so I will not open to the public. I beg your pardon, and I will have a last question to each of you, just trying to change your roles. If you would be a member of the European Commission and you would have two wishes that would be fulfilled for the reconstruction of Ukraine. I would say the first of one that could be fulfilled or should be fulfilled is peace for Ukraine and integrity of the country. So just to avoid repeating, but the second wish, what would it be? And I would start with Sebastian METZ and following the row.
My second wish from the European Union perspective would be as I said maybe from the beginning, to evoke, to request actually from the countries in the eastern part of Europe, which can be part of the Rebuild Ukraine topic, to have a clear and consistent vision and a certain degree of preparedness and readiness in terms of businesses, so that we can start actually from the beginning and not wait and see and to think what can we do. So we need to be ready. Let's call it like this. So this is something that also the European Commission actually can request from the member countries.
Thank you very much, Mr. Erbașu.
I think we have to be prepared also to receive the best experience of Ukraine and the people from Ukraine regarding the resilience in very critical situations. I think their experience in these situations could be a very good teach for us, for European countries, and also especially for East countries. So this could help also EU to find solutions faster in critical situations, such a way to develop together the resilience in Europe.
Thank you. Mr. SCRIOTTEANU, please.
Romania can export expertise when it comes to EU funding absorption, especially for transport infrastructure. Let's say we had a comeback, a spectacular one in the past 5-6 years. So when it comes to absorption on transportation infrastructure, the managing authority under the Ministry of Transportation was very open, and it was declared the best managing authority for the 2021-2027 EU funding cycle. So we have expertise that can be exported to Ukraine. When it comes to construction companies, Romania focused a lot on road infrastructure, and we have 700 kilometers of highways under construction with Romanian companies involved. So we have expertise when it comes to implementing projects with companies that can form consortiums in reconstructing Ukraine.
If I were member of the Commission, if I were the Commission, I'd like us to be more agile, more efficient, and more effective in understanding our role and understanding that the European future is also linked to the future of Ukraine, and we need to absorb it. And I think that having a more agile, having a more decisive approach as a union is the critical element that would just give room for all the developments that come after. I think that's the critical asset that we need, and then we'll have ideas, we'll have skill, we'll have people, but we need to be more active, agile, and effective.
Thank you very much. Mr. Burakovsky, please.
It's quite a difficult diplomatic task, you know, to make some comments. I'll be frank. I have 3 points. Point number 1, maybe they're going in different order. Well, I think that actually, from our experience of work, we do support European Commission in their current trend to combat over-regulations in the European Union. This is the right way, and it seems to me that something which is good for Ukraine and for the European Union. Simplification of rules, etc., that's something which will boost competitiveness of the European countries and Ukraine. Point number 2, actually efficiency of coordination, different bodies, etc., rendering assistance to Ukraine. And it seems to me that finally there should be a kind of a clear-cut idea that investments in Ukraine means investments in the future of the European Union. It seems to me this formula is something which should be there. And point number 3, definitely European Union, European Commission, etc., in particular, needs a special strategy how to deal with Ukrainian reconstruction problem in the medium and in the long term perspective. Indicators, principles, etc., but it should not be 350 pages document saying that we all have bright future. Definitely we'll have the bright future, but we should move consistently towards it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would say there is a key takeaway. What we need really is some kind of team spirit, and we have to work on our mindset. I would add as well, you said, Mr. Burakovsky, it's an investment in the future. And yes, and European Union, I agree with you, European Union maybe needs as well a good narrative why European Union is so important. So it would be as well an element to get a narrative for not only for Ukraine, but for all Europe. If we unite forces and if we do good things, it will be an improvement of our welfare, of our economies, but as well for our security. So I think there is something we can work on as Europeans as well. And I will conclude with many thanks to JURCA Scutaru, to the New Strategy Center, to all the partners, to all of you, and especially to this wonderful panel we had here. I know some of you have to work heavily in these days, and it's an honor to have you here on the panel. Thank you very much, and a big applause.